Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Dr. Homebrew. We are here for another round of talking beer, and it's going to be a good show. We are going to have our old friend Dimitri back on the show. He just passed his beer judge certification program or something like that, or we're going to find out. I forget now. But we last spoke with him. He was studying with Cooper, so if he didn't pass or did poorly, it's Cooper's fault.
I like to give people pointers that, I don't know. It's one of my things. I like to help people try to pass.
Sure, yeah. You're the Mother Teresa of beer judges.
If they try, that Yeah,
absolutely.
If you build it, they won't pass.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to chat with him, and that'll be cool. It'll be on the second segment. But for now, our first beer we're going to try. And, we've sort of we've glazed the non-alcoholic beer segment as of late, the past year or so. I don't know, this is what you do, man. I mean, I'm 46. I don't really feel like drinking beer. There's been many times this year, you guys, I'm just going to be straight, that I've thought about just not drinking, just stopping drinking. Because I don't like 9 times out of 10, I don't like the way I feel when I'm drinking. I don't like it. I'd have like 2 beers and I feel like yucky.
Yeah, I came back from the Northern California Homebrewers Fest, and there's a lot of tastes to go on there. It's an exercise in pacing. You can't try everything.
Yeah,
but it goes late into the night, and come back from that. It's like, I've been very light this week. I come back, maybe I'll have a beer. Okay, and it's like, okay, the next night, no beer. Don't need it.
I don't know what it is. Like, sometimes I will have a beer or a glass of wine or something like that, and I'll have a headache within like 5 minutes. And I don't know if it's psychosomatic or not, or like the other night, I was like, I really want a beer. I'm like, I'm jazzed for having a beer. So I pulled out a Celebration because it's been a while. I'm like, let's try it. Let's check in on the Celebration cans and see how they're holding up. Of course, immaculate, perfect. I loved it.
Of course.
But like 15 minutes later, I was like, I don't know. I just feel clammy. I don't like how I feel about it. I'm disappointed. I'm conflicted now. I don't know what to do.
You were feeling literally sweaty and cold?
Not cold, clammy, a little clammy, like not really, but kind of. I just didn't feel, I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't like,
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I drink a hell of a lot less than I did several years ago, but like, I just don't like, I don't like being real drunk. It's not that fun.
Yeah.
I don't like how I feel the next day. It's not super fun when you can't remember. And I've cut way back. It's not like I need extra pounds. I've got plenty of them already. So it's not that beer is bad, but when I start brewing again, I'm going to be doing like 3-gallon batches. And I keep talking about starting to brew again. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to be doing 2-3-gallon batches because I don't want to face down like a 5-gallon keg and just be every night like, oh God, I better make a dent in this or it's never going to go away.
Yeah. I don't know, man. So that's where the state of things are. Like we'll see what happens. But anyway,
the fun part of it is for me is sharing my beer. So I'll brew 5 gallons of something, but I'll pour half of it at a festival and maybe drink a little bit myself. But it's I blew a whole like 3-gallon keg of IPA at NCHF, and it was fun.
Nice, awesome.
Fun to share, taste a little bit of it with somebody that wants it.
Yeah. Well, that was a long way to say our first beer we're going to be drinking is a non-alcoholic Oktoberfest from our friends at Athletic Brewing. Jeez Louise. And it's been a while since I've had an Athletic beer. I had an Athletic Light I found at the store the other day, but I haven't been mail ordering them. I just kind of like lost touch with that, I guess. Probably because I've just been drinking the Sierra Nevada Trail Pass for so long. So I appreciate the opportunity to have an Athletic that you can't really get too many places. What's interesting to me about this beer, and I haven't tasted it yet, but I'm curious to have one of these because last time we had the non-alcoholic Weinstefan, I forget, best beer, and those were good. I would love to try a non-alcoholic version of it because it's got to be very tough, as tough as non-alcoholic beers are to brew in general. I feel like these are so delicate yet bold. I don't know how you're going to get that flavor and that profile, with no alcohol. So I'm curious. Schar, you found these at the store, right? You found these in the wild.
I did. When I was getting some beers for the last show, some Oktoberfest, I happened to find this at Total Wine or Bevmo or something, Total Wine, and I thought, this will be an interesting thing to try, and just wasn't able to get just because of whatever is happening with transportation or whatever, I wasn't able to get these to you guys, or I forget what happened, but was able to get them to you for this show, and that is something good for us to talk about here. It's like the end of September, which it's always funny to me as an American. This is when Oktoberfest starts, is September. Wouldn't it be like Septemberfest? But they're Germans. No, it is not done. We do not call it Septemberfest. It is Oktoberfest.
Right.
It's probably more of a Russian accent there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, look, Eastern
I
Bloc.
shouldn't do accents. I really shouldn't do that.
It's all good. What do you think, Cooper? You start off. Tell us your thoughts on this beer, because
it's nice when you do get a beer that's brewed for the season. It's not just any athletic beer that might have been on the shelf for 6 months, and this one they brewed it for the season, and it's going to be in the freshness range of acceptable. So at first I got a kind of a wordy note in it, just like a little bit of unfermented wort, but there's a nice toasty maltiness in there alongside that. I'm not getting very much hop. They do say, so it is brewed with, hops, malt, water, and yeasts, which they do use yeast, and it's one of the ones that's a 0.5 or less. So it is brewed, NA beer. It's not a mixture of some sort or something with all the alcohol filtered out or whatever they do. But we talked about that before. Anyway, I haven't tasted it yet. It seems like a little cold. I just took it out of the fridge. I'm kind of trying to let it warm up. And have you had one of them yet, Brian? Have you tasted one?
I did. I can go first if you want. I pulled mine out of the fridge probably a half an hour ago, and I should have let it go a little bit longer. I will lead off. I'm a little stuffed up because I had my COVID and flu vaccines yesterday, and my immune system is, it's strong. I was kind of messed up for a day, but I'm still a little stuffed up. I'm not getting a ton of aroma, but I really like the flavor. The flavor is, the malt is spot on, I think. It's got some Munich type malt in there, clearly some darker malt, a little bit maybe on the grainy side, but I like that. It's not wordy. It's, the grain, I think, is very prominent. If you go to the website for Athletic, they talk about clean malt backbone from Vienna and Munich malts. Hallertau Mittelfrüh hops add light bitterness that complement the bready aromatics and slightly sweet body. And I would say that it's fair to call this bready, not bready, but bready.
Yeah.
But that's, I think the best examples of this kind of have a bread-like character.
Liquid bread.
I'd prefer a little more hop bitterness. They talk about how it's lightly bitter, and they've clearly gone for a malt focus rather than a hop focus. The guidelines for a lot of German beers talk about firm bitterness. And that, essentially what that means is you're going to get some hop bitterness there. Not an IPA, but you're going to get some bitterness. I like the malt character in this a lot, but I'd like a little more bitterness behind this.
Yeah,
I agree.
So getting to the flavor, it does have, a lot more of the Munich-y, Vienna-y kind of malt flavor in it. Not so much toast, but like kind of bready and bread crusts. Mm-hmm. And it's very richly malty. I agree that the hop is kind of lacking. The hop is mentioned. I'm not getting much in the nose at all. Maybe a slight herbal, but in the flavor, the bitterness is kind of just backgroundy.
And backing up, and I jumped right into the flavor. For appearance, this is a big head that lasts a long time. I mean, I can tell I poured mine, I think, a little bit earlier, Coop, and looking at the bubbles on my glass, I did a terrible job washing dishes when I washed this glass. I got to be a little bit better on that. But I think the head was great. It's clear. The color is what you expect from an Oktoberfest. It is kind of that golden. I guess you get a few little floaties in here.
It's clear adjacent, but it's not there's a definite enough of a haze that I can't see through to the screen very clearly at all.
It is maybe a little bit less clear than you might like for this style.
I'm drinking out more of a tulip, kind of glass here. It's a little bigger bowl on the bottoms, but I can see my finger at the bottom of the glass, but I can't really see through the width of it here.
There's a little haze, but that's all right.
Not in a fest beer, JP. If you went to Germany,
no, I mean for me to style, no, but for I don't know. I give non-alcoholic beers a lot of grace. I give them a lot of room for error because they're doing extra steps and they're making something that I value. So I'm okay with a couple minor flaws, like that.
Then on a score sheet, appearance is 3 points. So if it's the right color, I'll give it a point. If it's got a good nice head, I'll give it a point. If it's a little hazy, I might take away a point. If it's not supposed to be. But
so
that's 1 point.
It's not everything. And go, what's a JP is?
Look at that.
Like, what the hell, dude?
I don't know, man. What's going on here? Let's see.
I don't know. That's weird.
It was like cached. I'm trying to fix my video because it flickers.
Yeah.
So I went from my real face cam to my virtual, which is I don't know. And I don't know. I guess last time I was doing something in here, setting up a stream. I had my shirt off. So there you go. You guys got a little thrill.
Yeah. But there's a lot of good things about this beer. It's not like the only good line in Ghostbusters 2 where the art museum guy says everything you're doing is bad. I want you to know this. No, it's oddly off clear.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I'd like a little more aroma and a little more hop bitterness. Having said that, the fact that it's got a big head that sticks around for a while, and it's got a good, a noticeable Munich, Vienna character to it, and that kind of breadiness, I really like that. We each have 2 cans. We're not going to drink 2 on the show.
No.
Although it's not going to get a smash to have 2 NA beers. But I will have that other can. I'm not going to just pour that other can out. I'll be drinking that.
It's only 70 calories, so you can sip 2 of these for, 1 regular light beer, kind of.
Exactly.
And oddly, though,
lunch if I went to.
Despite the low calories, I wanted to talk about the finish and the mouthfeel a little bit. It does seem to have a little backgroundy sweetness where I would like a fest beer to be a little bit drier and have the toastiness kind of give that background. It dries off your tongue and then you're left with the toasty malt.
Yeah.
This kind of lingers on the tongue a little more, and it's got a little bit fuller mouthfeel than I would expect for a fest beer. It's a little bit a slower drinker, and a fest beer is designed to be served in a liter Maßstein, and you can drink it about as fast as you'd like to. You don't have to pound it or anything, but if you don't drink those Maßsteins, the Maßkrug, fast enough, you end up with just a big pool of warm beer at the bottom that you don't want to drink. So this would be hard to get through in a Maßkrug, but it's very passable as a half pint here, and very enjoyable, very malty, and got enough richness to keep it interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they on the Athletic web page for this beer, they mentioned it has a slightly sweet body, which I think is maybe an attempt to get out in front of the fact that it's a little bit sweeter than you might want it to be.
It is. Yeah, that's my note, is that it's not candy like, but it is too sweet for me to want, because these, in my mind, these are crisp. They finish crisp. There's a bitterness to it, but this doesn't have those things, and that's what I think enables you to drink this a lot. To drink a mass quantities of it. And I don't know that I could do that with this beer.
I wonder if they designed it with a little sweetness on purpose to give it a little something besides the alcohol to, like the alcohol can come across as being a little sweet at times.
Yeah.
Gives you a little zing on your tongue. It's a different mouthfeel.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Heineken 0.0, I just had one of those and it dries off perfectly, and you don't really miss the alcohol.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think I'm putting this beer in with basically just the other non-alcoholic beers that we've had, where This one specifically, I guess, is really good. If you're going to be drinking, fest beers or whatever, and they're kind of higher alcohol, I guess, on the higher end. If you're like me, and you could space them out with this beer and not miss a beat.
Yeah, or blend them.
Yeah, or blend them, sure. But you know what I mean? You can have a couple. You can have one of the Firestone ones or one of the Sierra Nevada ones, and then have one of these. And you're still in the vibe, and that's what I think the majority of non-alcoholic beers are. And this one I think fits perfectly. It doesn't stick out, and I think it's a very passable attempt. What would you give it?
Yeah.
If you got this in a competition, what would you give it? Fest beer, go. Give me a quick score. What do you think? I would go 32.
Probably 31, 32.
Yeah, I was thinking 30.
Look at us, man. See, we don't need to fill out
you guys
sheets.
said 32 and 31.
We don't need to fill out sheets. We just the hive mind comes together.
Yeah.
It's like, JP, think back 15 years to the session where you played Guess My Number, and that was a 45-minute segment. Oh my God, that was one of the best things I've ever heard on podcasting.
Yeah, well.
Guess My Number. It's between 1 and 500.
Yeah.
Hey, man, all good things coming to an end. But look at that head. That's pretty good.
It's really good.
It's not bad.
And the normal fest beer is normally 5.8 to 6.3. It's not super strong, but it's firmer than a run-of-the-mill lager.
See, for me, and I know we're on different scales. For me, that's I don't know. I was at a brewery up north a couple of weeks ago, and they had a pale ale at 6.1. I'm like, I don't know, man. Come on. Don't make me fucking drink this. Or they had an English mild at 5.8. I'm like, come on, guys, stop.
Oh, God.
This is not happening. But they're not brewing it for me. They're brewing it for most people, and I think if you're a run of the mill general craft beer enjoyer, and you see a beer at 4%, you're gonna go what is? I'm a light beer. What's this?
The point?
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
well, my IPA that I brought to the camping, the beer camp fest, the Northern California Homebrewers Festival, that was only 6.3, and I missed my gravity a little bit. I was going for stronger, but I was like, you know what? That's nice. It's a good sipper. We're pouring little bits of beer for everybody.
I would never.
It's it's on the, if 10, 15 years ago, that was perfectly fine. But these days you don't see anything below 6.5, hardly 6.8,
You're retro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me is wild, that how beer has sort of I don't know, started at a higher alcohol level, and at least in America, and then stayed there, if not pushed the boundaries. Where I feel in Europe, it's just kind of where all these styles are kind of from or based on, is not that way. And we're just oh yeah, let's have 2 or 3 and get wasted. Please.
Let's drift. Yeah.
And then drive with all our kids unbuckled in the seats. All right, well, what do you think? Are we done with this beer? We wrap it up?
1971.
Yeah.
I like it. It was worthwhile. I hope you guys think it was a worthwhile segment to discuss.
Of course, yeah.
And it's a good sipper.
I would definitely, if I were having some Oktoberfest get together, I'd have a couple of 6-packs of these.
Yeah,
for
man.
people to have, like you're saying, you have a Polliner and you have one of these, and you have a Weinstefan and you have one of these.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Yeah,
I'm all right with that. And you know what? As it's warming up on my desk a little bit, because it is 80 degrees in the studio today.
Oh God!
Still at this moment at 7:58 p.m. There's a little lemony character that's kind of pleasant, but I think it kind of shifts it out of the fest beer category for me and into something wholly different that I don't know what it is. Maybe a really malty. No, I'm not even going to say that because that's not true. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's an interesting beer. If you know it's a fest beer and you're open and accepting of non-alcoholic beers, you're going to go, this is great.
Mm-hmm. It's characterful, and it's way more interesting to drink than a Klosthaler.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, let's take a quick break, everybody. We're done with this beer. We've beaten the non-alcoholic segment to death, I think, for this show. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to be chatting homebrew. We're going to chatting BJCP score sheets and how to level up your scoring game. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back. What's up, homebrewers? Hey, let me ask you a question. You spend a lot of time making your beer taste the way you want it to, right? Some of you even send beers into Dr. Homebrew for feedback. Well, the next logical step in your creativity is to craft some labels for those beers. And there's nobody better at creative labels than GrogTag. Their easy-to-use designs let you turn out some pretty amazing stuff like labels, bottle caps, coasters, even six-pack carriers with minimal effort on your part. They have a range of label sizes that fit any vessel you can think of. Bottles, cans, growlers, kegs. GrogTag has you covered. Head over to grogtag.com today and check out their line of amazing, fully customizable templates and get your beer looking its best. GrogTags are water-resistant, reusable, and will have your naked bottles looking great in no time. That's grogtag.com, and be sure to use code BNARMY at checkout to save 10% on your order. All right, thanks for sticking around, everybody. We are back with our friend Dimitri, who last time we talked either was studying for the BJCP exam or had already taken it, and we're a little unclear. There's a heated battle in between the break as to where we left off, but it doesn't really matter because Dimitri has finally gotten his results back. So we invited him along to come on and talk a little bit about those results, about his BJCP test experience, and to give a grade to Brian Cooper for how good of a judge, trainer he was, and how good of a judge he is pretty much morally as well as literally. Yeah. So Dimitri, welcome back.
His aroma? Is it impeccable? Does it leave something to be desired?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to know a lot about that. Before we get started, though, Dimitri, I have a question to ask you that I ask pretty much all the guests. Are you in a homebrew club?
Yes, I am. Shout out to the Bay Area Mashers in Alameda.
BAM. You gotta love BAM.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Great club.
Yeah, you
definitely.
Do. Yeah. All right, Dimitri. So last time we chatted, you hadn't gotten your results back from your test.
I don't think so.
Okay,
but it's been a long 4 months.
It's been 4 months. Okay, that was my first question: is how long did it take? So 4 months. That's a long time, but also that's kind of average. I don't think I got my score back for a while. I can't really remember. I think it was
That's a lot shorter than the historical average.
I think so. So BJCP is doing a lot better than they used to. Us old timers. You know what I mean? When I took my test before you were born, back in the day.
I get it. Like it's all like voluntary.
Make our own paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So how was your test experience going into that? Let me know a little bit about that in case anybody has some first-time jitters or, maybe they're too afraid to go take it. What was your experience like?
Well, test day, I mean, couldn't help but feel nervous. I mean, it felt like any other test I was prepping for, which was kind of funny because, it's a test on drinking beer and stuff. And it was funny when I was chatting with some of the guys at the table, they're like, I usually have the beer after the test. So it was like, it was really, it was a cool experience.
It's like a high-end frat initiation.
All right, yeah, boys. We took it at someone's living room. And so it was just a bunch of homebrewers, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys have been prepping for some time. So I remember it was in January, I believe. I gave an exam tips kind of a class, and we're talking about judging and semantics and some tips for writing a good score sheet, how to fill it out completely, and all of that. Mm-hmm. And from there, I remember that you gave me a ton of score sheets. And I graded a few of them, but I paged through all of these. I'm like, this kid is writing a lot. He's like, no
wonder you took an interest. That's what you do.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna take this kid under my wing because he and I both, overdo our score sheets.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. No, but he was doing a lot of things right, but at the same time, I could see that there's a few things that needed a little bit of, coaching that are maybe pet peeves for graders, putting comments in the wrong sections and this and that. If you comment on mouthfeel and the flavor, or this or that. Just simple things or commenting completely forgetting to do, the finish of the beer or the aftertaste, and just not commenting on that will lose you points. You can get better completeness if you just comment on everything asked for, and the other things, and just like kind of broaden what you can write about. He could obviously write a lot.
Drawing stick figures, having sex in the margins. Like, we don't do that. It's too distracting for homebrewers.
Yeah, doing it under in a timed manner, and just learning to write efficiently and rather fast, and get through the beer in the time that you'll have on exam day. So,
I know, exam day. Like, I mean, I haven't thought about it in a while, but I vividly remember just like how intense it was. It's like we're all just like sniffing, and like you could hear like everyone's pen just like rapidly hitting the paper. Yeah.
It is.
Never experienced anything like that.
Mine was probably 15, 20 years. I can't remember anymore, but I do distinctly remember sitting in that room. It was upstairs at a beer bar in Sacramento. Pangea, shout out. And it was oddly like surreal because there was a lot of pressure, but then like you said, Dimitri, where you're kind of like, we're just drinking beer. Like, we're so sweaty about doing this thing. We're like, we have to make sure or we do it. It's like a lot of pressure. And you're like, I'm literally writing about what I taste. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but it feels like it because there's so much knowledge that you have to pack in, and you have to regurgitate it in a specific way that if you don't do that, then things are kind of like, things get a little wonky.
Yeah. I also remember just realizing like how, dang, we're a bunch of nerds. I mean, like, what are we doing right now? It's fun, and
like you're basically you're taking a test to be in the lobby of like a homebrew game. You're like, I don't know, man. We're just sitting there doing our thing, man, picking our loadout or whatever. I don't know.
The other thing too, even when I'm proctoring, and a proctor has to write even more comments than you write on the an examinee sheet. The lines are, there's more lines on it. You got to fill it out so that the graders know what you tasted, and then they can judge the examinees by what you put down. Man, the time goes by fast. It's like,
it was 90 minutes, but
that was an hour and a half. I'm done. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's really, like, to me, when I finally was able to move up to being a master level judge, was when I just had the confidence to write down what I perceived and not try to think about, well, is that really it? Are they tricking me? Is this a doctored beer? What's going on? And when you have enough experience to just like, it's a lot of stuff to do in 90 minutes. It really is. And when you have the confidence in your own abilities for, smelling and tasting and writing, you just write down what's there. And that's, I think, one of the keys to being able to move up to higher rank.
Yeah, I'd say taking the exam is just the first step, because then you get in with other judges, you get into competitions, and you start doing it. If you have a little bit of time on the weekends here and there when competitions are held in your area, that's where the education really takes off, and you kind of learn how to get in your element, and some of your strengths and weaknesses. But unfortunately, Dimitri I listened too much to my advice, got too long-winded, and wrote too flowery of language, and they docked him. I'm sure it probably failed him. I'm guessing. I don't know. How did you do?
Wait, what?
How did you do on the exam?
Let's get right to it. What happened?
I guess somehow I managed to get like a decent score.
Oh, that's good.
What's a decent score? You know what I mean?
65 or
a 70? A little shy, but it was 81.
Hey!
81!
Way to go, man.
Magical.
Oh, sound effects.
Yeah. 81, bro. That's awesome, man. Good job. You are embarrassed, aren't you?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. Well, why? What's up, man? You did a good job. It's a good thing.
Yeah,
you don't want to be too showy. You don't want to show off.
That's the thing. I guess.
Okay.
I do remember that. It's so embarrassing, but like I was actually putting in like the study time and stuff. I remember. I think it was the competition my club hosted, and like I guess afterwards, they had like a bunch of leftover beer, so I took that, and that's what I used to practice. So I was able to, like try a whole range of styles, before going in. But I mean, obviously, you can't like really practice like everything.
No, you can't. It's hard. Yeah. But most exams you'll be tasting common styles that they won't throw too many curveballs at you, like a crazy fruited sour with wood in it or something. And it's going to be classic style, like stouts or a Belgian beer, or an American styles that but you got to know the breadth of some of the styles. But
for sure. And there was definitely like this one curveball, like, and it was like the last one out of the flight of 6. It was like an old ale. Like all of us are like, what the hell is an old ale? I mean, like I've seen it like on the sheet. And, like you think old, and like, of course old doesn't mean like literally like old, but it did taste old. I mean, it had a bunch of things wrong with it. So it was like so clouded, like with a bunch of off flavors. It was kind of hard to go about, writing the sheet. But yeah,
those are the kind of beers you have to write a lot about. Like, this, that.
It's like, where do I begin?
Yeah, where do I start?
I remember my BJCP prep class the first time or second time that John Watson was doing that in Los Altos Hills. And we had an old ale that we all thought was kind of good, but was kind of weird. And he whipped out the can afterwards. It was Steel Reserve.
Oh, man, dude.
And okay, now we understand. All right, it was hot fermented. Here's some off flavors for that. But yeah, it's funny. Steel Reserve often stands in the place of old ale because it can be awfully hard to find old ale in the U.S. again.
I will say it's nice that you were you practiced, you put in the time, and then you controlled some of the things that you can control. Completeness of your score sheets. I know you were writing good, complete score sheets after all that practice, hitting all the marks. That's going to impress a grader. And sometimes, as a grader, when I see a sheet that's really complete, even if their perceptions might vary a little bit, you can tell that they're a good judge. They might be someone newer that's coming in, but those perceptions, you either learn your weaknesses or you practice tasting more and you get better at perceiving and putting names to what you're tasting. And it's always a journey. I still struggle sometimes. I'll taste it. What is that? You'll be sitting across from a judge at a table, unlike at the exam where you can't talk or look at notes. You got the guidelines in front of you. You can discuss the beer, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's soy sauce, or that's whatever it is. But that's the wood in this wood aged beer, but it's too much, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We also had Brian's Dunkelsbach in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I threw in an exam beer into the ring there for fun. I think it.
And how was it, Dimitri? Was it great?
It was.
50-point beer.
Pretty mediocre.
So where I went wrong, I kind of graded it a little higher than it was, because I was slightly confused because the way the malt and the hops were kind of interacting. There was kind of like this grape skin, and I thought it was like some sort of I knew the Dunkelsbach sort of had like dark Munich in it, but it was acetaldehyde. But I was kind of confused because the other beers in the flight had this clear this is acetaldehyde, like it was this green apple, but for some reason, like in the Dunkels, it was kind of like a grape skin sort of thing. So it was kind of, I think it was, I don't know.
Yeah, I get it as like
the flavors.
Pumpkin skin is a good way for me to describe it. Grape skin.
Yeah.
It's kind of like tannin adjacent. It's like a kind of a tongue biting also like sensation where you get not it really shouldn't be a mouthfeel, but it does. It kind of grates at your tongue a little bit, and it's like, what is that weird taste in there? Oh yeah. And it takes a while, but yeah, you'll get it more and more.
That's awesome. Have you done any competitions yet, Dimitri?
Not yet. I'm thinking maybe the California Homebrew competition that's coming up.
Cool.
As the first one.
Yeah, that'll be cool, man.
There's a lot of competitions here in the spring, which would be a good time to do it if you can get the Cal State in the fall, and then in the spring there's World Cup, and there's a lot of other good competitions, and county fairs start taking off. We do the Alameda one. I always need judges for that, so we'll hit you up and we'll try to get you in on it. And there's no hurry, but as you get experience, since you've reached this threshold of 81, you qualified that to go on to national or higher rank once you earn enough points to do so, and to take the other part of the exam, which is the written exam. So the beer written proficiency exam is you have to have 80 or higher, and you have to earn 10 judging points to be able to take that. and it's a 5 essay questions, and 90 minutes, and you go through and just there's a true false section, but it's achievable, definitely. And if you study and just keep reading, if you're curious about beer and continue brewing and continue just, read as many, good articles, good books as you can. Don't listen to our show, but
well, man, what are you going to do? Have you brewed at all since you've sort of been studying or compiled all your knowledge or whatever? I guess the question is how has all of this journey that you're on, has that impacted your brewing at all, your home brewing at all?
Oh, I'd say it was kind of the main reason why I wanted to do BJCP in the first place, is to really, I guess, hone my skill. And, I did kind of realize that, a bunch of my ales have had this diacetyl problem, and which got me thinking, I've been trying to look for where in my process that's sort of happening. And I think it's because, I'm not giving enough oxygen before I pitch and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you're leaving them on the yeast long enough, but it's just still coming up anyway.
Yeah. The tricky thing is they're ales, but you don't really have those with that problem with ales because they're already fermenting in the 65s. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're able to track that down?
Yeah. To answer your question, that's something I've been trying to tackle.
Nice.
And whenever I go out for a beer with my friends, I'm still doing the thing where in my head I'm doing the whole judging thing.
See, that was my next question.
I think we talked about it last time.
Has all this ruined you even more?
Oh gosh. I think the main culprit for when I go out is, you could just tell when the pubs or bars or whatever, man, they just don't clean their lines. There's something wrong. It just, you just get disappointed more, but you try to, look past it, I guess, and just enjoy the beer.
And
as a beer.
I go back and forth, where sometimes you're oh, it's it's fine. It's a bar. They're not going to really. No one cares.
Yeah, I expect that. Yeah.
Yeah, but then there was a phase where it's well, no, this is my fucking money. I'm not gonna. I don't want to drink this beer if it sucks. I don't need to drink beer. But then you're well, am I going to embarrass myself or the other people? And you go, I don't really care. It's just this whole conflict. So that's why I just switched to heroin instead. It's cheaper, and it's you can't complain to anybody. You're going to die. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So the whole money thing, it's dang it, there goes $8. But that's why I kind of try to avoid draft beers if I'm at a bar or something.
Dude, yeah.
If I do really want a beer, I'll see if there's cans or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably better.
Definitely going for either dive bars or going out to shows, the concerts and shit like that. You definitely I'll take a bottle of Coors Light.
Yeah, I'll probably just
over
the light
draft
lagers.
Sierra Nevada because who knows how long it's been there.
Yeah. Oh, especially I stay away from IPAs when I'm out because I know I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, well, me too, but for different reasons, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, when you're in the right environment, when you're at a craft beer bar, knows what they're doing, then obviously you can taste it. And they get them some special beers, and they're gonna probably taste better from draft than from the cans.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, maybe. It depends. It's still. I think it's still a crapshoot. I think craft beer has gone a long way, but I think Dimitri's right in that it's still a crapshoot. It as much as we want to sort of glaze the industry, it's still a crapshoot. People, I was drinking a can of craft beer the other day that I was this is not good.
Yeah.
And then I had on draft this is not good. It's the same beer. It's not good. So I don't know. It just depends, man.
Yeah, I've been on a run with just domestic American lagers, and surprisingly, Pabst is really good. Compared to everyone else. It actually tastes like a craft American lager sometimes.
The people in home brewing specifically, but in craft in general, I think we really poo-poo the American light lagers and stuff. Yeah. Coors Banquet, Pabst, Rainier. If you're in the Pacific Northwest ever, you get yourself some vitamin R, dude. That shit is perfect. So good.
Yeah. We had a competition several years ago where the calibration beer, I was on the light lager table.
Yeah.
And our or lager American lager table, and our calibration beer was a tall boy, a Budweiser America, baby.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had Budweiser in years. And I'll tell you what, InBev has gotten rid of whatever that horrible off flavor that I could never quite put my finger on what it is.
Yeah.
Budweiser always had. It was gone, and it was actually a pretty tasty beer. I was surprised.
Wasn't the America like the stronger version of Budweiser? Wasn't
might
that
have been.
what it is?
It might have been. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, I mean, we had a tall boy of America, and that was it. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Very good.
Yep.
All right, Cooper, is there anything else we want to berate Dimitri for or squeeze any info out of him, or we're going to let him go?
He actually told me his score before the show, so I was only acting surprised when he told me what he got.
What?
But I was super stoked for him when I heard the news, and just happy to know that we might have helped somebody. You might have helped yourself
for sure.
already, but you were reaching out to people and seeking feedback, and you were curious about it, and you wanted to become a judge, and you wanted to obviously try to do well at it. So, kudos to you for writing some good score sheets on exam day. It's a lot of pressure. It goes by really fast, and you're always second guessing yourself. Oh, did I score that one too high? Oh, did I miss the bad beer? And did I really call out the great beer as what it was? Or, too many. I psych myself out, even when I'm proctoring sometimes, and when I take the exam.
And that's the tough thing. To me, that's the biggest speed bump to get over, is the psyching yourself out, is just to learn how to trust yourself.
Get out of your own way and judge what's there in front of you. But work with others. Now you can just judge together. And that's the funnest part. We'll see you around at some competitions. And, and maybe we'll get paired up together, a lot of times.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Wait, don't I need to shadow someone?
You'll be usually when new brewers, new judges, come in to judge a competition, they'll often be paired by the organizer with a more experienced judge to work together. And that's a good way to learn.
Yeah, you don't get shouted. You get thrown right in, man.
Yep.
You
don't get just to sit there and watch. What was the worst part about the competition or the test for you? What was the hardest part and what was the easiest part?
Okay, the hardest part, for some reason, going through the flight, I kind of struggled to count. When I'm doing the final score, so I had to use my fingers.
Because if you make a math
I had to double check. Yeah,
hell yeah, dude,
you'll lose points. Yeah,
damn.
Yeah.
That happens. That's just there's all the stress, and you're focused on sensory, and you're just the part of your brain that does math. It's just no, I'm over here. I'm taking a break.
By the time you get through 6 samples, too, it's
you're drinking, dude. Yeah,
moderate amount of alcohol in your system. You're like, whoa.
Whenever I can't do simple things, I just tell myself that geniuses have a hard time with simple tasks and stuff like that. So just think of it that way. You're too smart to do this.
Yeah, just think about too much.
They don't know how to comb their hair, tie their shoes, but they can build you a rocket, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite part of it?
Favorite part of it?
Yeah. Got to be one.
I don't know. I felt like the practice paid off for sure.
Nice.
Yeah,
the
shout out Brian's tutoring.
You had a little confidence going in. Thank you. No problem. No problem.
The culmination of knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, that and I had a little bit of time to look over my sheets after each beer.
Oh, okay.
Which was good too.
Nice.
Sometimes just the post exam, hanging out and talking to the proctors and the organizer.
Oh yeah,
and
we
what
did the bottle share.
Because it's there's a bottle share, or you're at you're at somebody's house, and they're like, "Well, taste this. Let's have some good beer now." And you don't have to have all this other stuff we had. Oh, here's what this was. They might show you a little bit about what they did. They probably won't tell you everything, but that's kind of a fun part of the exam too for me. Did you guys hang out for a while?
Yeah, we did. A bunch of
he's still
people
there.
Brought some.
He hasn't left. They won't let him leave.
That's funny. I actually dropped off some beers to the Alameda County just right before the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a random side note.
Give me one piece of advice for new people taking the test soon.
One piece of advice.
Give me one piece of advice for everybody.
Send your score sheets to Brian.
Yeah.
And then Brian can start charging.
Just write a lot. Yeah.
Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
Just physically send them to his house at
123 Horny Avenue.
You need a hand.
Sex USA.
The trucks start backing up. Beep, beep.
I think that'd be awesome, man. Do they still do the recipe? Do they still make you write a fucking recipe out?
On the written exam.
On the written exam? That was for me. That was the
that was
the hardest part.
Huh?
Because I couldn't. I was like, because you don't know, so you have to like be able to. For mine, it was a doppelbock. I will never forget it. I'm like, who the fucking God stuck my ass, dude? Stop! Like,
but there's always like the guideline or the test things will tell you there's going to be like 3 possible beers they're going to ask you for a recipe for. Just memorize the stuff for those beers.
No, see, this is why I fail in life, because I go, no, I refuse to do that. It's stupid, so I'm not going to do it, even though I have to do it to do the thing. I'm like, no, why would I? I'm never going to be able to. Can you imagine on a fucking score sheet, you get a score sheet back and someone gives you a recipe for your beer? Like, I will slap you. Stop it. Please. For the love of God. Take that away. Brian, take that out. Both Brians, take it off of the things.
Okay.
Next meeting you have for the judges. See, now I'm mad all over again 25 years ago.
Man.
Dimitri, we'll let you split, man. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We'll probably chat a little bit in CHF or whatever, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
So,
I think that me again.
Dimitri?
Yeah, congrats on your score sheet, man. 81. That's pretty good. The 81 kid.
Appreciate it. Hey, let me know if you guys need some homebrew.
Always. Yes, the answer is yes.
Next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peace.
All right, brother.
Cheers.
Later, man. We'll take a quick break,
care,
everyone. We'll be right back. It's Dr. Homebrew or something like that.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, thanks for sticking around, everybody. We are back, and you know what? We are not going to talk about NCHF because Brian doesn't want to talk about it. He's too embarrassed.
Well, it's kind of what happens at NCHF stays at NCHF. I'm recovering from the slight limp that I gained there when I tripped down by the lake.
Yeah, how did you get the limp? What's going on? Only if heartburn and diarrhea stayed wherever you got it. You know what I mean? You didn't bring that home. But instead, we're going to talk about Brian Schar, because Brian Schar is about to go on a judging excursion, a first-time judging excursion to parts unknown. And we're excited for him. Brian Schar, what are you going to be doing, buddy?
I'm going to McMurdo Base. It's the South Pole in Antarctica. I wish that would be kind of cool. No, I've judged Great American Beer Festival (GABF) before for the first round.
Yeah,
but in about a week and a half, I'll be going to Denver and judging the final round of GABF, which will be very exciting. You know, you do the first round, you do it out at was it Louisville or wherever the BA warehouse is? And hey, I'm not too good to judge in somebody's warehouse. It's a nice facility and it works out good.
Yeah.
But we'll be right in downtown Denver at the convention center, and we'll be getting the beers for the final round. So we're done Thursday afternoon, and GABF starts Thursday night. So
wow,
I'm going to be pretty much beered out, but and I'm leaving Friday anyway. You get to go for the whole thing, but I'm already going to be gone from home for 5 days, and Friday I just want to come back.
They do the awards on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I think the awards are on Saturday.
Damn.
But this is you hear my cat Sebastian, and if you're on YouTube, you get to see him too. But it should be a lot of fun because the final round we're picking gold, silver, bronze for whatever categories we get assigned to judge.
Yeah, and you've never done this before, right?
I've never done the final round. I've done the first round.
How long have you been judging GABF? How long is it taking you to get?
This will be my second time. I did.
Okay.
I did first round 2 years ago, and then I didn't get invited last year. So, from what people had told me, if you don't get invited back, it means they didn't like what you did or something. I'm like, well, okay, I had the experience and they didn't like me or whatever. But I got the invite this year to come back for. I guess they're just trying to accommodate everybody, right? There's a lot of people that want to judge.
Sure. And I would think GABF is one of those pinnacle moments, because the beer is going to be good.
Exactly. And I'm curious how many will be judging, because the first, I was saying before, I think we might have been off air, that judging the first round is grueling and fun because you're doing like 12 beers in the morning, you're doing like 12 beers in the afternoon. You might be doing 3 flights if there's like shorter flights. And you're there, you're judging, you're on all day. The second day when I was there before, I went back to the room. It was like 6 p.m. I went to bed. I was just exhausted because you're never drunk, but you're kind of worn down from drinking a little bit all day. And that'll wear you down.
Yeah, and I think it's that odd combination of drinking and then using your brain and having to be logical and scientific, I suppose, where you have to, and then you have to argue and make your point.
And analytical. Yeah, you've got to be analytical, and you've got to have that soft skill that's the opposite of analytical to discuss with other people. Like, well, why'd you give it this? Why'd you give it that? And have that give and take.
Yeah. At some point, I would just be sitting there, I don't fucking know, dude. Just tell me what to score. If you don't like the score, that's fine. You tell me what you want me to put down because I don't care. I'm too tired. I can't do this.
Oh, man. But it'll be great. It's an honor to get invited. I'm excited to go.
Cool.
I'm flying out on like a Monday. There's like a judge reception on Monday night and actually it's at that place. What do they call that? That lager place in Denver where they have like the slow pour Czech lager.
Bierstadt.
Bierstadt.
I figured. So, I don't know. Once you said there's a judge's reception, I'm like, okay, it's got to be there. It's got to be.
I never actually. So when I was there before, because Louisville's like 30 miles outside of Denver. Denver's a gigantic city.
Yeah.
I didn't have a rental car. I wasn't going to drive a rental car, having drank beer all day, to go drink more beer at Bierstadt and drive back.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I was just too tired every night to go out and do that. But I'm excited that we're going to be like right near Bierstadt. I'll finally get a chance to go. That'll be real nice. And then we just get to it on Tuesday morning.
Nice. Well, be sure to take some notes. Let us know, man. I'm curious.
I'll try to take some pictures or something. Yeah.
Excellent. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look,
but if you want to be a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah. If you want to be on the show and send in your beers or anything fermented, for that matter, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com, and we will get you on the show, and we will get you hooked up, set in, and ready to rock and roll on this show, man. Get some feedback on your beers, and if you want some tips and tricks, even on taking BJCP exams or whatever, contact Brian and like that. It'd be fun. Be a good time. Yeah. All right, everyone. If you're listening live, stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple minutes with some beers to talk about. We're going to have a wet hop segment. It's going to be a good time. It's a wet hop season. You're going to see some wet hop beers cropping up. And don't be a hater on wet hop beers. I know that's the easiest thing to do, but they're delicious. And, you can learn how to make them too. So hang tight if you're listening live. And if not, go listen to something else. I don't really care. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And until next time, we'll see you.